My name is Richard Crawford, and I've built my career on representing luxury brands around the world. And in doing so, I've had the privilege of having some truly out-of-the-ordinary experiences. But at what cost? It's getting harder and harder to blindly ignore the impact our extravagant lifestyle is having on the planet and its people. So I've decided to investigate whether there really is a sustainable way to visit the wonders of the world but still have extraordinary luxury. Can I have globetrotting adventures without leaving a significant footprint? Well, let's find out. And by using the basic principles that define ecotourism, which are minimal impact, sustainability, social responsibility, and of course, let's not forget overall guest experience, I will rate my travels around the planet to see if we really can make a difference. One experience that tops most people's bucket list is to go on African safari. And today, we are doing just that. But not just any safari. We are off to Kenya to visit one of the most luxurious safari lodges in all of Africa. This remarkable property, almost suspended in midair, features luxurious tented suites overlooking the spectacular Mασάι Μάρα. But that's not all. They have become an integral part of the communities around them. They sponsor rhino protection programs, educate the community's children, and not only give the locals jobs, but empower them with employment opportunities they would normally never get. I'm really looking forward to taking this amazing experience off of my bucket list and to seeing how this property, literally in the middle of nowhere, can be so luxurious, yet is designed to leave no trace. When you say you're taking a trip to Africa, most people think safari. But there's so much more to this ancient continent. It's huge, 20% of the world's landmass and 16% of its population, with 64 sovereign states and territories. But it's also the world's poorest and least developed continent. Therefore, tourism plays an incredibly important part of the region's economy, from the pyramids of Egypt to the cosmopolitan cities of South Africa. But undeniably, the wildlife is the main draw. Just ask any Disney Lion King fan. So in this episode, we will be visiting Kenya in East Africa, which is the 6th most popular destination for tourists to the region, with tourism being the 2nd biggest earner for the country. The wildebeest migration in Kenya's Mασάι Μάρα has been recognised as one of the new 7 wonders of the world. This is one country where it is vital for ecotourism to flourish to protect its natural resources and thereby its economy. My journey into deepest, darkest Africa begins by flying into Nairobi, Kenya's capital. And this is a stepping stone for those intrepid explorers keen to meet the Big Five up close. Well, here we are in Nairobi, a fairly cosmopolitan city, and in fact the capital of Kenya. But we still have one more leg to go before we actually get into the Mara, and I've been given a choice. I can either spend 9 hours in a vehicle over rather challenging terrain, or I can spend 45 minutes in a small aircraft and land at one of the very small airstrips dotted throughout all of the Mara. Guess which one I chose? Well, I have to say that the flight certainly wasn't for the faint of heart. The little plane was more of a bus and actually stopped at whichever airstrip around the Mara the passengers needed to get off at. In hindsight, after landing on those bush strips, maybe the 9-hour road trip might have been less bumpy after all. But hey, I made it safe and sound, and the views sure were spectacular. Well, here we are at Okorok Mara International Airport, and Okorok is actually the Maasai word for crow, which kind of makes sense because we're at 1900 meters or almost 6,000 feet above sea level, and it's a bustling hive of activity. Well, at least it is on the wildlife side. In actual fact, when we tried to land, we had to pull up again because we had zebras and antelope on the runway. So we had to pull up and come around and try to land again. But I'm here now, so let's go meet the folks from Angama. Hey Daniel, how are you?
Thank you.
Richard Crawford, nice to meet you.
I'm Daniel, nice to meet you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Welcome to Angama.
Thank you, looking forward to it.
Very good.
Oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever been welcomed by this many people before. Wow. Hey guys, how are you? Wow, whew, I feel like royalty. Larry Joseph, thank you very much. Thank you. Guys, how are you? I can't shake all of your hands. It would take too long. Thank you very much. Thank you. Man, this is definitely what they must mean by Kenyan hospitality. Now I understand it. Yeah. Thanks, guys. This way? Yeah. Yes, thank you. This is Angama Mara Safari Lodge. Now it consists of 2 camps, north and south. Each has 15 tents and each has a common area in the camps. Now I have to say, my initial reaction to this is surprise. I didn't expect to see this kind of architecture. Modern, clean, lots of glass. And oh my God, I definitely didn't expect to see this. The Mara Plains spread out in front of you as far as the eye can see. This has to be the cradle of civilization right here. Before I took a look around, I thought I'd start by catching up with Nikki Fitzgerald, who together with husband Steve founded the lodge, and I asked her what she loved about Angama Mara.
Well, it's, you know, the view takes your breath away.
Yes, it does.
And it puts our guests in a space of just bliss.
Yeah.
And to overlook this game reserve, the Mασάι Μάρα, in particular the Mara Triangle, which is below us here, which is filled with animals all year. It's just a happy place to be.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, I think it's not easy to operate in Africa, but up here on the edge of the Rift Valley, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
And it's probably, of all the lodges, I've built about 55, operated them. It's probably the loveliest position in the loveliest game reserve I've ever been lucky enough to work in, and with the best staff.
Jambo, and welcome to one of the tents here at the Safari Lodge. Now I use the term tent rather loosely because in a sense it is a tent. It has canvas walls and a canvas ceiling, but that's about it. The first thing you notice when you come in is a full glass front, and that's designed specifically so that you can fully maximize the incredible view out there of the Mara. We have a king-size bed, so technically you don't even have to get out of bed in the morning to enjoy that view. And then a couple of details here in the tents that I really like. You've got a full array of electrical outlets here, so regardless of where you come from in the world, the chances are you can plug your devices right in. And a nice little touch that I've really enjoyed is that they have these pre-postage page postcards that you can write, send off to family and friends. And how cool is that, to write postcards? How cool would it be to actually receive one of those? Now the chances are you would get home before the postcard does, but it's a nice little touch. Each tent comes with a never-ending supply of whiskey and gin, so you can make some cocktails. And another nice little touch that they have here is every tent has a little book called Out of Africa. Makes for some good reading. I love that. We have his and hers vanities, and all the amenities are made specifically for the lodge, keeping in line with their eco-philosophies, and they're all housed in these little porcelain vessels, so they're reusable. Who doesn't love a deep tub at the end of the day? Help to relax all those muscles. We have a private bathroom, and we have a very unique shower in the sense that it has one of the most incredible views you'll ever see from a shower. And speaking of which, let's go check out that view. So here we are out on a spacious porch. Now it is wide open and it is spacious, but the way that these tents have been designed, it's still very private. And right on your doorstep here, you have the Mara stretching out for miles in front of you. Now in the short period of time that I've been here, I've never used a set of binoculars more in my life. I've seen lion, zebra, giraffe, elephant. It really is a testament to the unique aspect of this place, its location, and the incredible views that it offers. Coming up next, I get a chance to see the Mara from above. I am reminded yet again why I hate my job, and I learn to dance from the locals. Good morning.
Good morning.
It's early, man. These early morning calls keep getting earlier and earlier. It's only 4:30. But it is for a good reason this morning. We're heading out on a balloon safari over the Mara. Watch the sunrise come up over the horizon. So let's go to the vehicle. It's dark here in the lodge still at 4:30. And it's important that you, because it's so dangerous still, you have a Mασάι warrior escort you through the lodge. Dangerous because the animals are pretty active at night. I don't want to get eaten by a lion. Morning, Daniel. How are you, buddy? It is morning, right? Not still nighttime. Well, I made it to the vehicle safely, so let's get out there and get up in the balloon. No matter how early it is, there's nothing like a drive through the lion-infested wilderness in complete darkness to wake yourself up. But there was something quite amazing about watching these giant balloons slowly inflate in the early morning light. And the heat from the burners didn't hurt either, as it was absolutely freezing. You get a sense of how enormous these balloons are by comparing the size of the guys walking around inside them as they inflate. Yes, the little tiny ones there with the torches. But it wasn't too long before we were airborne, and boy, what a magical view it was.
What do you got down there? Elephants down there on the right, out to the right. Yep, good spotting.
And it's that time in the morning where the sun is just coming up over the horizon. I'm not sure life gets much better than this. This is an absolutely once in a lifetime experience. From up here too, you're not so high to where you can't see a lot of the wildlife below us. So this is definitely the way to do safari. And it was all going so well until it was time to land. And that ground was coming up awfully fast. One thing they seemed to forget to give us was landing gear. Mike, our pilot, told us to get down in the basket and hang on for dear life because, well, we were going to end up sideways. Trust me, he said. It'll be fun, he said. And surprisingly, it was. Wasn't so bad. Ha! Terra firma. Thank you, Mike. That was an incredible experience. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Wow, amazing, amazing, amazing. Whew. Now I'll get eaten by a lion. I don't imagine you would have a lot of free time here in safari in the Mara. But if you did, and you really felt the need to work out, then this fitness facility is perfect, especially with a view like that. And of course, after a long, hot and sweaty workout, you can step outside and take a plunge in the rather impressive infinity pool. When they first told me that in-room massage was an option here, I had no idea that it was going to be this incredible. And let's be honest, just a massage with Caroline alone is pretty amazing. But with a view like that, it just takes it to a whole new level. Just a little piece of interesting trivia for you. The lodge is actually built on the site of the iconic movie Out of Africa. In fact, this very spot right here is where Robert Redford sat right next to Meryl Streep in the world-renowned poster that was put out for the movie. Now, in order to celebrate the lodge's connection with the movie, they've created an Out of Africa experience, which is just a short hike up the hill. So let's go check it out. Well, how quaint is this? You know, with the period piece picnic set here, I feel like I've just stepped back in time. You know, the lodge has set this up as a romantic spot for couples who are perhaps celebrating a honeymoon or a very important anniversary. And yes, I could see Robert Redford and Meryl Streep having a nice little romantic picnic here. But I'm about to have some lunch here in the middle of Africa, under the shade of the tree. Terry, what are we having? Well, this is definitely quite the spread for a picnic. Thank you, Terry. I appreciate it. Thanks a lot. Well, that was quite the lunch. But they tell me my Out of Africa experience is not quite finished. They tell me there's one more surprise. And like any Hollywood blockbuster movie, it has quite the finish. And wow, yes, I would say so. That is definitely quite the finish. So what better way to finish off a full day of indulgence and get ready for my big day on safari tomorrow than to come up here and have Terry prepare a traditional Kenyan cocktail for me, a dawa, which is made of vodka, honey and lemon. I'm going to watch the sunset right behind the hills over there and take in a traditional Maasai warrior dance. Thank you, Terry. How do I say cheers? I'm going to stick to cheers. Thank you. It seems like a man can't even enjoy his cocktail in peace around here without being dragged into some local ritual. The adumu is the famous Maasai jumping dance. It's actually part of a much larger coming-of-age ceremony, but the locals often perform it out of context for the tourists. Some unlucky tourists even get dragged in to participate. And there's one thing I found out: Scotsmen sure can't jump. Oh, and I also found out that my knees, well, aren't quite what they used to be. Coming up next, it's time for what I've travelled all this way for. I set off on my African safari. I also meet the team charged with protecting the critically endangered black rhino. And I get to watch a pride of lions on the hunt up close. So this is what safari is all about, being this close to a pride of lions. Well, I'm really excited this morning because today's the day we actually get to go out on safari. And let's be honest, that's the whole reason we're here. But before we get out there, let me put in context exactly where we are. Now, we're in Kenya, which is in East Africa, bordered by Uganda, Tanzania, and Ethiopia to the north. Now, we flew into Nairobi and we made our way to Mara right here. Mara sits in the most northern part of the Mara Triangle, which is about 510 square kilometers and makes up about a third of the Mασάι Μάρα National Reserve. Now, it has 3 borders. It has 2 geographic borders and 1 political. We have a mountain range right here in the north. We have the Mara River that spreads out right before us, and to the south we have the Tanzanian border. Now, Mara itself sits in the most northern part of the Mara Triangle, and today we're going to head south all the way to the Tanzanian border. Now, surprisingly, the Mara Triangle is actually the least visited on the safari circuit. However, it has the highest concentration of wild animals. So I'm really excited to get out there. I have the full safari outfit on, binoculars included. So let's get out there. Morning, Daniel. How are you, buddy? Good to see you. Good to see you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Daniel, a very trusted and experienced guide out there today who's been doing this for many years. And he promises me he's only lost 1 or 2 people. Is that correct? So what are we going to see out there?
Oh, we might see a couple of lions.
Couple of lions. So we'll see lions, elephants, giraffes, zebra, warthog, hippos. And if we don't see all of that, we get our money back, right? Okay, let's go. I'm really excited. Come on, let's go. Thank you. The Mασάι Μάρα is named in honour of the Maasai people, the ancestral inhabitants of the area. Their description of the land certainly makes sense to me. In Mασάι, Mara means spotted, due to the many short bushy trees which dot the landscape when looked at from above. The Mara is one of the most famous and important wildlife conservation and wilderness areas in Africa. And you are barely out of the lodge before you have your first encounter. In my case, with these gorgeous impala. The area is world renowned for its exceptional populations of animals, especially the big 5: African lion, leopard, rhino, buffalo and bush elephant.
Wow, looks so majestic and docile, but our guide tells me that at any minute they could turn around on you, so you have to be really careful. In my opinion, one of the most important projects that Ngama is involved in is the rhino project. Now, I'd heard rather unsettling statistics earlier today. The white rhino is completely extinct from the Mara Triangle. And the black rhino, at one point there was only 3 of them left. Now today there's 12, and that's due in big part to the rhino project. Now the people at the Ngama Foundation have donated this car, this vehicle, used specifically to follow, track and watch out for the safety of these rhinos, especially from poachers. Now, I just mentioned a minute ago that there's only 12, and we're very, very fortunate because one of them is actually right out there in front of us. Now, it might be a little difficult to see because he is a little far off, but it's just so exhilarating to see these guys in their own habitat. I've seen rhinos in the zoo, but that's just not the same. To see it out there, it's just so exciting.
So one of the great things about doing a safari in the Mara is that you never know what awaits around the corner. And as we were driving, we came across a pride of lions just lazing in the sun and taking their afternoon nap. It was amazing just to watch them in their natural habitat. But not long after we arrived, something changed. One of the lionesses had sensed some prey and went to wake up the others. But before too long, almost instinctively, they were on the move. We just didn't know where or to hunt what. Now our guide had told me that the wildlife were used to the safari trucks and also the guides dressed in green. And to be honest, I was kind of glad of that because they couldn't have gotten any closer to us unless they were actually in the Jeep with us.
So this is what it's really all about, getting this close to the pride of lions. And these are all females, is that right, Daniel? So these are, I mean, this is the part of the pride that hunts. So I guess they're on the move now. They were sitting over there, all passed out a second ago, but now they're on the move. God, that's impressive. Look at that. You know, they hunt in packs and there's a system to it, but they just look so elegant. And, I got a little look at the side of the eye there. Did you see that? Amazing to be this close. That's incredible. And a little scary, let me tell you. I mean, I'm holding it together here pretty good, but well, I am a little scared. But that's safari, folks. Amazing. So I don't know if you can hear some of the other animals around here making noise, and they're warning each other that these guys are up and moving around. Just a second ago they were pretty still, but now they're moving around. Oh, God, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's amazing to me that they really don't pay us any attention. Oh my God, it's so majestic. For the last hour or so, I've just watched the most incredible thing I've ever seen in nature. It was a pride of lions tactically going after some prey. Just the way they spread out, the way they all worked together to kind of box the prey in one section was absolutely amazing to watch. Now, they didn't actually catch what they were after. It was a little warthog. And to be honest with you, I was kind of happy to see that it escaped. But watching it all has made me kind of hungry. And I don't even have to leave the safari to have lunch because I've thought of everything here. They've brought our lunch out in these little boxes, also a little bit of wine. So I'm going to sit down, have lunch right here next to the Mara River and watch the hippos.
One of the best things about going on safari here is that the experiences are tailor-made just for you. You can go out for a full day, like me, or you can do a breakfast safari, one at lunchtime, or an afternoon trip, or all three if you want to. The beauty of it is that no two are the same, and you can be certain that each trip will bring with it a different encounter. And with the guys being such passionate storytellers, you certainly never get tired of the animals or the view.
Wow, well that was a full day, but I have to say that's everything I ever expected from safari and more. And I have to say, Daniel, thank you so much, man. You promised me that we'd see a lot of big exotic animals, and we definitely did. You know, the one thing I'll never forget from today is those lions hunting down that warthog. But you know what, now I'm going to spend several hours on Photoshop editing all those incredible images I captured today, and then bore the hell out of all my friends.
Coming up next, I take a closer look at how a luxury lodge like this can exist in such a remote location while also caring for the environment. And, now that I've mastered the tribal dancing, I try my hand at using the warrior spear. And just a heads up, it didn't end well.
In this show, we highlight incredible destinations in which, by the very nature of where they are, sometimes pose a threat to the environment that they're in. Now here at the Mara is a classic example. The Mara is in Kenya, which is a developing country. Now, very often these governments of developing countries will prioritise economic benefits over their natural resources. But here at Ngama, they've brought a world-class organisation to the Mara and doing it in a very eco-sensitive way. So let's go have a look at some of the ways they're doing it. It should come as no surprise that by far the most precious commodity here in Africa is water. And at a lodge like this, where the guests have very high expectations, it's important to be able to provide a consistent source of fresh water. And believe it or not, all the water for this lodge is actually produced on site, which is actually more difficult than it sounds because it only rains for very short periods of time here in the Mara. Now, I'm with Cyrus, who heads up the water program at the lodge. Cyrus, where do we get all the water from?
Oh, we normally get water from this dam.
Oh, so it's from this dam then?
It's from this dam.
Okay.
That has got a capacity of 300 cubic meter.
Okay.
Meter.
Yep.
The water from the dam is pumped using boosters.
Yep.
To the main water storage tanks.
Okay.
Where we purify the water, we clean the water using filtrator and chlorine.
Okay.
And our capacity there is 120,000 liters. Then our daily consumption per day is within 90,000 liters per day.
The lodge uses 90,000 litres per day
Per
of
day.
water. Wow.
That's all the sections, the laundry, the guest area, the kitchens, all the staff quarters, all the areas.
Wow, fascinating. Do you mind if we go have a look at the plants up there?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, thank you.
So Cyrus, this is the first stop in the process. This is where the water from the dam originally comes, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, so the water is being pumped up from the dam into this tank behind us. It's being filtered and then it's being stored in these tanks right here, which hold about 120,000 litres. From there, it's gravity fed down to the lodge, where all the water is used for general use and drinking water.
Some of the general use water is then put through a second stage, a purifying stage for drinking water. And I've been really impressed both in the tents and the common areas at the lodge with the amount of drinking water that's available. And even when you go out on safari, they provide drinking water in these reusable glass bottles. And you can either have still or sparkling. Cyrus, can I get a refill?
Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Sparkling water?
Sparkling, thank you.
Yes, please.
Perfect.
Okay.
I've just found out, to my surprise and my absolute delight, that Kenya as a country has completely banned plastic bottles and plastic bags. Now, Nikki, the owner of Angama, brought an idea back from South Africa that she saw, where people were collecting discarded plastic bottles, filling them with trash, and coupled with cement, using them as eco-bricks to build structures. Now, Angama was the first place to do this in Kenya, but through education, they're spreading it throughout the whole country. And plastic bottles aren't the only thing being recycled here. Landfill in the Mara is just not an option, and the folks at Angama do several things to recycle. All of their organic products are used in composting, all of their paper waste goes to be incinerated, and all of their glass goes to Nairobi to be recycled. They do everything they can to leave no trace. In the very short time that I've been here, I've been very pleasantly surprised to find out that the place is really clean. I see very little trash. And that, in part, is due to, on top of all the other programs here that they do for recycling, they bring the staff out, all of the staff, once a month to have Tucka Tucka Day, which is basically a big litter drive. Ready to go, guys? Yeah. Let's go. That's Tucka Tucka. Okay, now we're doing our part. We're doing our part. Oh, thank you, Robert. Thank you very much.
Enjoy your salad.
Thank you. Now, it would be easy to attract first-class chefs from all around the world to work here. I mean, just look at where we are. But the folks who built Angama, one of their key philosophies was that they wanted to hire locally. So every staff member in the kitchen, from the chef to the dishwasher, is a local employee. Now, what's even more impressive is they offer a full a la carte menu every day for every meal. Now, I mentioned before, there's two camps, north and south, and each camp has its own dining and kitchen facilities so that every guest gets a first-class dining experience. Now, I'm currently sitting here on the deck looking out over the Mara, having lunch, but there are many more wonderful dining experiences here. Because the lodge is so remote, self-sustainability is really important, and not just from an economical point of view, but also an ecological point of view because of the food miles and the carbon footprint that it would typically take to get all this kind of food here. Now, the lodge has planted this very impressive garden, and I'm here with Ignatius, the gardener. Now, Ignatius, tell me a little bit about what you're planting here.
Actually, this is Angama garden. We produce fresh vegetables, ranging from herbs and fruits, which we produce in their kitchen.
So herbs, fruits, and vegetables. Yeah, yeah. And I noticed earlier I saw some passion fruit, I saw some pumpkin. So a large range of things you guys have. Now, everything that's grown in here is prepared in the kitchen here and eaten by the guests in the restaurants. But they've taken it one step further. Here, you can actually have a meal right here in the garden. And as usual, I'm feeling a little peckish, so I think I'll go check that out. Now, this is impressive. They've built this dining platform right here in the middle of the garden. You know, they talk about farm to table, but it doesn't get any fresher than this. The vegetables I'm about to eat literally came right out of the soil behind me. Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it, thank you. You know what? The only thing more impressive than this fresh vegetables here is that view right out in front of me. As my time here at Angama comes to a close, I go trekking with the locals, I visit a school to see the positive impact the Angama Foundation has on the community, and I meet the first Maasai woman ever to be terrified of all things, an elephant. In speaking with Nikki, the owner, it was very evident early on that when she built Angama, it was important for her
to give back to the community. In being here, I've noticed that 99% of the staff here are all local employees, and as part of the social responsibility program, they've built this staff village. But this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are many more social responsibility programs that they're involved with, so let's go have a look at some of them. Now, it's not surprising that a lodge of this style would offer healthcare to its guests, but Ngama have taken it a couple of steps further than that. They actually offer healthcare to their staff and the local community. And the Ngama Foundation has built this clinic. They employ medical professionals and they subsidise the medicines for the locals. And here is one of these incredibly talented medical staff. Dr. James, how are you, sir?
Fine, sir.
Good. I have a quick question for you.
Yeah.
Do you have anything for a lion bite?
Sure. Welcome.
Oh, you do? You have some? Oh, okay. You have something for a lion bite. One of the most important projects at the Ngama Foundation is education, and they've done a lot for several schools in the area. They've built housing for the teachers, they've built classrooms for the kids, who are so beautiful, and very often when people come to this part of the world, they bring things that they think a school or the kids might need, and very often it's things they don't need. So the Ngama Foundation has actually come into the schools and asked specifically what they need and created a little list of things that they need, so that, for example, when you're a guest at Ngama Lodge, you can purchase the books and the satchels that they actually need and bring it to the schools. Now, this school has 807 students, which is incredible. It's good to see that many kids are able to get a good education, and every one of them are wearing a nice little school uniform. Look at them. Say hi, guys. Wave to the camera. Yay!
So it turns out that this was the first time that the students at the school had seen a drone, and so our filming became, well, an all-school event. They also took special interest in our cameraman Ben, who tells me it's very hard to fly a drone with 12 little pairs of helping hands trying to push all the buttons. They also seemed to want to grab the drone whenever possible. But in the end, we got our shot. And the one thing I was left with was, for kids who have so little, how joyful and proud they were. We should all take a leaf out of their school book.
It's interesting to note that cattle play a very important part in the Maasai culture. It's their currency, and it determines the wealth and status of the owner of the cattle. It's really important to them. In fact, about 5 minutes ago, we were filming somewhere else and they got upset at us and asked us to move. Now remember, we are in the middle of the Mara, full of wild beasts, and unfortunately, some of these animals meet their demise via lion. Now traditionally, the Maasai, in order to seek revenge, would go out and kill that lion, and sometimes the whole pride, which is not good for lion population. Now the Ngama Foundation are part of a program where if a cow is taken, the Maasai are compensated with cash, with the understanding that they don't go out there and kill the lion. And I think that's a pretty good system. One of the core philosophies here at Ngama is social responsibility. In fact, when I first talked to Nikki, the owner here, she expressed how important it was to invest in the community, but not just to support them, to give back also. And as one of the results of that, they built this incredible facility here where they actually hire local Maasai women to create arts and crafts. So let's go check it out. Josephat has told me that these ladies are beading. Now, beading is an ancient Maasai craft, and everything that these ladies make is sold here in the store. Part of the profits go back into the community, and the ladies themselves actually make a commission. However, if they don't sell anything, they're still paid a monthly salary, so it's all still going back into the community. Now, as a guest here at Ngama, you can try your hand at this beading, so I'm going to go give it a try now. I feel like a Maasai warrior chief with this. Hey ladies, how are you?
So one thing I learned pretty quickly, the ladies certainly made it look easy. I couldn't even see the tiny beads, let alone thread them onto the tiny string. I can't imagine how long it would take to actually make some of these beautiful items. And whilst that might have been amusing for some of them, for others, I think it was just a distraction from the very serious business of beading. But I was lucky enough to hear the beautiful chants they sing whilst working. And today we were in luck. To show their appreciation for the ladies' hard work, Mara gave them the afternoon off for a very special treat, their very own private guided safari. And we were going to join them. So what's incredible is that despite that these people grow up in this area, they don't actually get to go out on safari. I guess you kind of take it for granted that because they're here that they know everything that's going on, but that really is a luxury experience down there that only very few people get to experience. But this is great. They're going to go out there and see exactly what brings people from all over the world to their home, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it. I'm excited to see the expressions on their face when we go out there. Ready, ladies? Yeah! Well, it was all going rather well until the lady up front just suddenly realised that she has a phobia of elephants, which is kind of surprising considering she grew up around them all her life. I guess this is the first time maybe she's gotten that close to it, but she really is scared. We had a very long safari drive yesterday, and although I'd have loved to have laid in this morning and got some rest, it was worth it to get up really early and watch a beautiful sunrise come right over the Mara Triangle. And I did it right from my bed looking out of the tent. But I'm also out this morning for a safari walk, and I'm here with my guides, Sononi and Lapori, and these are Maasai warriors. And it's important that I come out with these guys on a walk because I can't just come out on my own. A, I don't really know the area, and B, I would be very open to being attacked by lions. But with having these guys with me, it offers me a safety net, and I'm really looking forward to getting out there and getting really close to the animals, and not from a vehicle. It's a little more exhilarating actually having your feet, your boots on the ground and walking amongst the animals. Now they've put me in charge of the weaponry today. This is a Maasai AK-47, but you've got one shot at it, so I better not miss, guys, right? It's a policy of this and other lodges in the region to employ members of the local Maasai tribes as security guards on the properties, and they also take guests out on guided walks. This is yet another example of putting money back into the local community. It's amazing, but not surprising, how much they know, not just about the animals, but the birds, the plants and the trees. It really brought home to me just how connected these people are to the environment around them. So it's really incredible because the animals are right there and you're not in a vehicle, you're actually up close with them, and you don't have that little safety net that you feel when you're in a vehicle, so it's quite exhilarating to actually just walk amongst them.
Can you hang on for a minute? Look here, Richard.
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
Fresh
Some
footprints.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it?
Can you give me a guess?
Based on my very limited tracking knowledge,
Okay, so
I would say it was a mongoose.
a mongoose. These are too big for a mongoose.
Yeah, what is it then?
This is a lion footprint.
A lion?
Yeah.
Like a lion, a big lion.
Yeah, big lion.
Well, how long has it been there?
A few minutes ago.
Like recently?
Yeah.
Like here?
Yeah.
I think the walking safari is over, my friend. After a few days in the Mara, I think I can now consider myself an honorary Maasai warrior. I've learned to jump like one and now track animals like one. I think I'm finally ready to be trusted with their weapons. So ultimately what's happening here, a big lion is charging me, it's attacking me. I got one shot at this. It's getting closer. I can see that's the lion right there. It's that close. I can smell its breath. I can see the whites of its eyes. My whole life depends on this one throw. Oh, I'm dead. Yeah, dead. They say all good things must come to an end, and so too must my time here in the Mara. Going on African safari consistently rates at the top of travellers' bucket lists, and I can really see why. It's not just about being able to see these majestic creatures in their natural habitat, but it's about being so close to them without any real protection. And there's a real sense of exhilaration and definitely a little bit of danger. It's not just the wildlife though, it's also the genuine hospitality of the local people who couldn't try harder to make you feel at home. Speaking of home, Ngama Mara really is a home away from home, just more spectacular. Its real point of difference is its location above the Mara, giving an incredible view from just about everywhere. The guest-centric approach comes from the top, with Nikki and her team doing everything they can to not only provide an amazing guest experience, but to protect and improve the environment. The Ngama Foundation goes above and beyond to contribute back to the local communities. So where does Ngama Mara sit on the Leave No Trace Eco Scorecard? Taking all of our factors into consideration, I have scored the whole experience a very well deserved A.
Wow, what an incredible experience that was. I can see why people really regard this place as one of the most beautiful places in the world. And the people of Ngama, talk about hospitality. I got a sense of what that world-renowned Kenyan hospitality is. Some of the friendliest people I've ever met in my life. You know, if you ever are fortunate enough to get the opportunity to come here and visit the Mara, please, for the sake of this gorgeous landscape and the exotic animals that are here, absolutely leave no trace. I'm Richard Crawford. Until next time.